Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Monroe County Plan Commission. We're going to begin our meeting. We have a quorum, and if you'd be so kind, Ms. Nestor-Jelen, to call the roll.
Sure. Tron Enright Randolph.
Here.
Bernie Garitas.
Here.
Jeffrey Morris.
Here.
Cheryl Munson.
Here.
Edward Ullman.
He is online. He's not been promoted to panelist yet.
Okay. I'll note the same for D, so I'll give them a minute. Jerry Pittsford.
Present.
Julie Thomas will be late. Margaret Clements.
Here.
And then back to Edward Ullman. They need a minute. So Edward Ullman and D. Owens are as attendees, but they need a minute to be promoted as panelists. So,
Madam President, I was
Yes.
just going to ask if Jackie could kind of clarify, just with Edmund being his first virtual attendance, I'm aware of as far as needing to make sure that the video and mic work to be
Yes.
accounted.
Yeah.
yes, for Edward, yes. And then also we have Chris Cockrum,
Yes.
our city planning representative. So we have 6 members in person. For right now, 1 non-voting member and then 2 members virtual. So we do have an in-person quorum.
Okay. Is there a motion to introduce the evidence?
So moved. Second.
I'd like to introduce the following items into the evidence. The Monroe County zoning ordinance as adopted and amended. The Monroe County comprehensive plan as adopted and amended. The Monroe County subdivision control ordinance as adopted and amended. The Monroe County Plan Commission rules of procedure as adopted and amended, and the cases that were legally advertised and scheduled for a hearing on tonight's agenda.
So moved.
To approve?
Yeah, to introduce some
Is there a
evidence.
second?
Second.
Okay,
Okay.
it's been moved and seconded to approve the introduction of evidence. Bernie Garitas. Yes. Jeff Morris.
Yes.
Cheryl Munson.
Yes.
Edward Ullman. D. Owens.
D. Owens has sent a message asking that she be promoted to panelist again.
Okay.
And
We will
perhaps
have
the same is
tech
true with
services.
Ed.
Yes, we've also left a note, so tech services will help us with that. Jerry Pittsford.
Yes.
Margaret Clements.
Yes?
Tron Enright Randolph.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 6-0.
Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda as advertised and presented?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. A vote in favor is a vote to approve the agenda as advertised. Jeff Morris.
Yes.
Cheryl Munson.
Yes.
Jerry Pittsford.
Yes.
Margaret Clements.
Yes?
Tron Enright Randolph.
Yes.
Bernie Garitas. Yes. And then Edward Ullman or D. Owens. No. Okay, motion carries 6-0.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the June 20th and the July 18th meetings?
So moved. Second.
Okay, a vote in favor is to approve the minutes for both June 20th and July 18th, 2023. Cheryl Munson.
Yes.
Jerry Pittsford.
For the 20th, I abstain.
Okay. Margaret Clements.
Yes?
Tron Enright Randolph.
I just wanted to confirm I was at both. June, I was there, and let me just click on July real quick. In July, I was there. I vote yes.
Bertie Garitas. Yes. Jeff Morris.
Yes.
Edward Ullman.
Edward has his video and he is unmuted, but he's unable to hear anything from our end of things.
Okay.
And the same is true of Ann Crecelius, who's attending.
Okay.
Would that be a technical issue on our end? And if so, should we give a
Well, Tech
moment?
Services is working on that. Tech Services, are you able to resolve these issues with regard to the people zooming in, not being able to hear us? Okay, tech services says they are working on the audio issue. But we still have a
Recording in
quorum.
progress.
We still have a quorum, and we still can approve these. We have a majority, right? Yes. So, so the vote has been taken. I don't know if it's sufficient because I wasn't keeping count.
So it is sufficient, but if the recording hasn't caught up with anything that we've voted on to date, it hasn't been into the record.
Recording in progress.
So I don't know if tech services can confirm whether we should continue the meeting or if they need a minute, if they could confirm that.
Well, the recording is in progress.
All right. So the minutes did pass with a vote of 5-0. So Cheryl, Jeff, Bernie, Tron, and Margaret voted yes to approve minutes for June 20th and July 18th, 2023.
And let the record reflect, since the recording has just begun, that there was a unanimous approval of the agenda and unanimous approval of the introduction of the evidence. And we're moving on now to administrative business. Mr. Pittsford.
Yeah, I wanted to be clear that I was voting to abstain on the June 20th minutes because I was not present for that meeting,
Yes.
but I was affirming the vote for the July minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Pittsford, for clarifying.
Madam President,
Yes.
I need to change my vote because I was not present at the July 18th meeting.
Okay, and just so everyone is aware, it's not necessary that you be present in order to approve the minutes. You just have to have reviewed the meeting. So
did.
you did. So do you approve the?
It's fine
Okay,
in that case.
okay, so thank you so much. Okay, so moving on then to the administrative business, item number SIA-23-12, the Bryn Mawr subdivision. This is a request for release of performance guarantee. And Mr. Myers, if you'd be so kind as to review this with us.
Thank you. So this is the Bryn Mawr subdivision. It's located at 3511 to 3637 East Bryn Mawr Drive, and also 3400 to 3438 South Justin Court. It is approximately 22.04 acres in Perry Township, Section 14. The petitioner has applied to release the performance bond guarantee related to the Bryn Mawr subdivision. The summary of the current financial guarantee that was submitted to the county at the beginning of the project was $29,555, dated March 4th, 2010. The petitioner is requesting to reduce the performance bond by $19,555, leaving a balance of $10,000 for the required 2-year maintenance bond. The quietus summary dated July 6th, 2015 indicates the bond amount of $29,555 being held by the county for the public improvements of the Bryn Mawr subdivision. This is Exhibit 5 in the packet of this report. The ordinance states that a 2-year maintenance bond is required after the construction has been completed to the specifications laid out in the approved construction plans. And that comes from Chapter 858-8B. The county commissioners did accept the roadways and improvements into the county inventory in August of 2023, and the Monroe County Highway Department and Stormwater Division conducted site inspections and ensured improvements were satisfactory for applications for the acceptance of East Bryn Mawr Drive and South Justin Court and South Bluebird Spur. Overall, the petitioner does meet the ordinance requirements for a performance bond release. And here on the screen, we have the letter to the Board of Commissioners and the Plan Commission requesting that release, as well as the original letter of credit for the subdivision public improvements. I've also included here a letter from BRCJ Civil that verifies the Bryn Mawr subdivision public improvements were completed with the as-built survey to the right on the screen. Both of these exhibits are included in the staff report.
Okay, do members of the Plan Commission have questions for Mr. Myers or for the staff? Is there a motion?
Well, just a question. There was three options when we talked about this at the administrative meeting that planning was looking for, but it seems like we settled on just one option that's being recommended today. And I guess I would just be curious of how did we tease out the other two options to just have the one recommendation, I guess. And if I'm mistaken about that, that's fine, but I remember that we had kind of three ways to move forward.
Yes, so this is an individual subdivision that has already been taken into the county inventory. And so we've had our highway department, stormwater division, and planning department confirm that this subdivision actually meets all of the requirements to return the funds completely and just post the 2-year maintenance bond. So it will be in the county inventory, subject to the 2-year maintenance bond. If after 2 years, the improvements have not been damaged or there's no issues, the county will return the maintenance bond, and then the road is completely into the county inventory and ours to maintain.
And maybe you're thinking of a different subdivision, Mr. Enright Randolph?
That could be possible.
Oh, this isn't, you were thinking Emerald Trace. This is Bryn Mawr.
Yes.
Yes, I was. Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Is there a motion to,
I can make a motion.
thank you.
Matter of case number SIA-23-12, Bryn Mawr subdivision in the matter of a partial performance bond reduction request. I move that we approve releasing the performance bond guarantee for public improvements of $19,555 and holding the 2-year $10,000 maintenance bond based on findings of fact and subject to county staff recommendations.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. And please call the roll.
It has been moved and seconded. I do want to just, if it's okay with everyone, give the highway director an opportunity to speak if there's anything that she would like
Sure.
to add.
Yes.
Lisa, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
No, I'm good. I was trying to make sure that everybody was saying this same thing that Tron was thinking of a different subdivision, but no, we are completely satisfied with this agreement being released.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and call the roll. Edward Ullman?
Yes.
Okay. And Edward, when you vote, if you could turn on your video. Edward Ullman?
Yes.
Thank you. Dee Owens?
Yes.
Jerry Pittsford?
Yes.
Margaret Clemens?
Yes?
Tron Enright Randolph?
Yes.
Bernie Garitas?
Yes.
Jeff Morris?
Yes.
Cheryl Munson?
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries 8-0.
Okay, great. We have no unfinished business today, and we're moving to the first item under new business, and that is item number RD-23-2, North Maple Grove Road, which is a proposed name change to John Irvin Way, and this is the preliminary hearing. And Mr. Brown, if you would be so kind as to review this with us, I'd be grateful.
Thank you. First of all, before we begin, we do have a handouts that needs to be given to the commission members. This is relevant to the Historic Preservation Board of Review's comments on the proposal, which I will be going over during this presentation as well. So the request is to rename a section of North Maple Grove Road to John Irvine Way, as you said, Madam President. The purpose is that the county commissioners are the petitioners for this application and requested that planning staff facilitate this petition. The petitioner is requesting a road name change from North Maple Grove Road to John Irvine Way. This road name change, if approved, will only impact the portion of North Maple Grove Road that is between the intersections with North Bottom Road and West D-Lap Road, and the remainder of the road will experience no change in its name. A road name change was previously approved for this exact stretch of road in 2009, project 19-RD-01, and it was triggered by the completion of the Cedar Ford Bridge over Bean Blossom Creek, which made a connection between the two road segments, North Maple Grove and North Old Maple Grove Road. And the Highway Department then requested to extend the name of North Maple Grove Road and eliminate Old out of the title. Indiana State Statute 36-7-4-405 gives authority to Plan Commission to assign street numbers and street names. We do have some comments from the county departments. Ben Ayers from the Highway Department says, I believe there to be some old family history with a family that used to live here and farm this area for decades years ago. I cannot remember the last name, but for sure, but I believe it to be Ford. They were either grandparents or great-grandparents of Larry Stanger, who still lives in the area on West Maple Grove Road. I remember Larry telling me about this a little while back, might be worth looking into, unquote. As for the addressing from the planning department, there are no existing addresses that will be impacted. Exhibit 2 of the packets does show a address of, I believe, 7450 North Maple Grove Road. But looking further into this, it was determined by looking at the road ranges that access for this lot would be granted from an area south of West Elap Road and thus not the affected area. And here is a short biography of John Irvine provided by one of the petitioners, Commissioner Julie Thomas, and I will give the commission a moment to read over this.
Madam President, I'm
Yes,
curious,
Mr.
this seems like a significant potential change or just request, and just to read some of this in the record, I think would be helpful, maybe just some highlights if that was.
Mr. Brown, would you be so
Okay.
kind as to read it into the record?
It's not long.
Certainly. So John Irvine served in Monroe County on the Board of Commissioners from 1975 to 1978. Prior to this, Irvine was the deputy mayor of Bloomington in Frank McCloskey's administration. During his 9-year term on the Plan Commission, Irvine was pivotal in the development of the sliding scale ordinance, providing an opportunity for owners of large parcels to carve off smaller lots for family members or for sale. As commissioner, Irvine performed many services. He fostered environmental initiatives and instituted a soil survey to track erosion in Carson County. In conjunction with Morris Binkley and Jeff Richardson, he started the Youth Center's Shelter, which continues to this day. During his tenure, there were a number of downtown projects he was actively involved in, including the preservation of the historic courthouse and the design of the Justice Building. He advocated for the implementation of an expansion of county planning and legal departments. He utilized state and federal funds to foster the construction of the bridge connecting Gosport and Steinsville, as well as the development of a flyover program to track county development. In matters of transportation, he oversaw improvements in airport management and creating a model for paving projects on county roads based on the level of service and traffic patterns. And with Warren Henniger, Irvine commissioned the creation and installation of the peace statue on the courthouse lawn.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. So do members of the Plan Commission have questions for staff?
We still have for a bit of the presentation to go,
Okay.
but
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
I apologize if you.
That's okay.
Yeah. So the proposed road name change was presented during the November 20th, 2023 meeting of the Historic Preservation Board of Review, and it was voted that the Historic Preservation Board of Review would create a letter of opposition, which is present on the right. And I will give the commission a chance to read over this.
I guess, again, with the public's thought in mind, would you just potentially be able to read maybe the second paragraph where it just kind of gives the recommendation?
Certainly. With input from, quote, with input from area residents and members of our board, we recommend that the county retain the historic road name North Maple Grove Road and explore other options for honoring longstanding community advocate John Irvine. Given that the road was only recently connected after 43 years upon completion of the Cedar Ford Bridge reconstruction, The board sees the value in maintaining the name for a contiguous stretch of roadway from the historic Maple Grove Road District to Bottom Road in the vicinity of Modesto. North Maple Grove Roads Association with historic farmlands in northwestern Monroe County makes it foundational in local identity and character of the community it connects. The 2019 decision to drop the old from the name of the once severed section of roadway was a welcome sign of repair, renewal, and reconnection between rural communities. As for honoring John Irvine, the Historic Preservation Board of Review would gladly engage in naming discussions that fit his accomplishments. Thus far, ideas have been generated include everything from commemorative plaque, honorary road naming, like 17th Street by Memorial Stadium being Ferris Farm Way, or even renaming the bridge, which is 80% or more new material. As always, we appreciate being part of the discussions that affect the historic fabric of Monroe County, and we are eager to collaborate on ways to honor those who have served our community, unquote. And this was presented today to the planning department by Devin Blankenship, who is a member of the board.
I would just like to make a note on the record that the reason why Ferris Farm Way was renamed was because that was an agreement in the original contract when the Ferris family conveyed the land to Indiana University. It wasn't just a commemoration, it was part of the original contract that that roadway was to be named. So it's inappropriate in this letter to infer that it was done commemoratively. It was part of a contractual relationship. So just for the record, I'd like to, you can continue on with the rest of the presentation. Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Thank you. And here is a new image made for this meeting. It's a snip showing the entirety of North Maple Grove Road. The area that's highlighted in yellow, that is the portion that is suggested to be changed. The rest of the road, again, will remain North Maple Grove Road. And here is the same on a GIS map, as well as the map as it's shown on Elevate. As you can see, there's a lot of floodway in the proposed area. And these are just some site photos I took driving along the road. I apologize for their quality. I am definitely not a professional photographer.
Okay, that's good.
I believe Dee Owens has her hand raised.
Yes, well, let's let Mr. Brown finish his presentation, and then we'll begin with Dee Owens and Mr. Ullman afterwards.
That concludes the presentation.
Okay, so Ms. Owens?
Thank you. Thank you. Let's see, I'm unmuted. Very good. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So the Historic Preservation Board is saying don't rename the road, but if you want to rename that covered bridge, they're okay with that? Is that what it said?
There was discussion about that being a potential way of honoring Mr. John Irvine, yes.
But I mean, that particular bridge, the covered bridge, is the one they were just talking about?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, because it's not specific. It just says the bridge or, yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Owens. Mr. Ullman?
Yes, just for the point of clarity, I just, and I apologize if this is a well-known statement that I just don't know for sure, but Mr. Brown mentioned the Indiana State Statute 3674405 and how it gives Plan Commission the authority to assign street names. So is this a situation that we would be voting on the street name and what we vote is the final say, or like most votes that we cast, it goes on to the actual commissioners to have a final vote on?
It's final.
This is final, Mr. Schilling just said. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Pittsford.
Okay, a question. the issue of the name for the bridge, that's not within Plan Commission purview, right? I do know that by state statute, we have authority, final authority on road names, but not bridge names or anything like that, correct?
Yeah, I believe the commissioners would be the entity that would name the bridge.
Right. Well, I shared with Mrs. Clemens that, I did a little research and they used to have picnics down there and the kids would have a contest to see who could spit cherry pits across that creek there where they crossed. So they often referred to that as the Pitts Ford. So I thought we might want to consider renaming that stretch of the road Pitts Ford Road.
Now,
She didn't think that would fly, so I throw that out there for consideration.
Yes. Are there any other questions to my left? Are there any other questions to my left? Any questions to my right, Mr. Enright Randolph?
Yeah, and I know this is probably a question that maybe we can't get a direct answer, but the frequency of us changing road names, I know we did it recently. That kind of had a lot of practical kind of logical, not saying this isn't necessarily, but elements to renaming the Hunter Valley Curry area. Outside of that, from me serving since 2016, I haven't seen any other road name being suggested. Also, that was recognizing someone that, has some history here in Monroe County that's no longer with us. The comment at the admin meeting kind of got me to thinking. First, I was like, I don't really have a position. It's actually really hard for me even to find a position. But the comment was, how many times do we change a name to a road or, to memorialize or to remember a public servant that's still with us? That just kind of got me thinking. And so my question is how many times have we seen this type of request in the last 10 years, 20 years? Because I do think, honoring how people dealt with this, Plan Commission members in the past have dealt with this is pretty significant in my opinion of how I'm going to decide to vote today. And if you're able to provide any information on that question, I'd be grateful.
So I think to answer your question, Tron, road name changes are under the purview, but also establishing road names. So every time there's a major subdivision and you're reviewing those plans with road names on them, you're also approving those new road names. So I guess pertaining just to changes, looking at the case files, there's less than 10. And some of them had to do with I-69.
So I guess it would be fair to say is we don't change the name of the roads too frequently.
Less than 10 in 10 years, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Munson, do you have any questions or comments?
I have a comment, and it comes from my long tenure on the Historic Preservation Board, and also my long tenure in working with former Commissioner Irvine on the Plan Review Committee. And those two committees were very important in connecting me to county government and helping me see the importance of a countywide approach to how we carry out government and decisions. I think I want to honor John Irvine, but I don't think this is the appropriate way to do this. And I do see maintaining the character of Maple Grove Road in the traditional way that it has been referenced, even though we got rid of the word old once there was good pavement out there, as was appropriate.
Yes.
So it would have been too confusing to call it New Old Maple Grove Road. So that's my position. Also, I wonder, has anybody contacted Mr. Larry Stanger for his input on the immediate history of the area? Are they?
Okay, great.
Good.
Yes, so when we hear from the public, we will
Thank you.
hear. So do you have anything further?
Nothing further.
So
Thank
if
you.
If there are members of the public,
Lisa raised her virtual hand.
Lisa.
Hi. So on the bridge, I was kind of sitting here at my desk going through some history on the naming of the bridge. This is what I have. And this came from Jeremy Boshears that did a lot of research back then when we built the bridge. But he stated that Jacob Milliken had a sawmill there in the 1800s before there was a bridge. It was just known as Milliken's Ford. When Jacob and his others petitioned for a bridge in the 1860s because the ford was getting so muddy, the commissioners decided to build a steel bridge, but at the last minute changed their mind and had the Smith Bridge Company build the covered bridge. The commissioners' records listed it as the Milliken Bridge. Some years later, it got misspelled to Milligan Bridge and eventually misspelled as McMillan Bridge. So that's kind of how the Ford name with the land around there became. And then also the Cedar Ford was what the bridge was called in Shelby County, where we brought it from. So just to give you where the Ford history came into play in the 1800s.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ridge.
She totally left out the part about cherry pits.
Yes, sir, if you would kindly come to the podium and sign in, and then state your name, and then you'll have 3 minutes to talk with us about your ideas about this. Okay. Thank you, Devin.
So we have several members of the public join us last night.
Is your mic
Devin,
live? I'm
yeah.
sorry. We're getting a comment in the chat that they can't. It should be green. Let me see if I can.
I'm willing to press whatever needs to be pressed.
There.
Thank you. Okay, is that better?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So yes, my name is Devin Blankenship, and I'm the one that wrote the letter from the Historic Preservation Board. And I thank Ms. Clemens for her comments about Ferris Farmway and the factual information about that. So that's great to know. We had several members of the public, some of whom are here tonight. We also have some additional members of the public here with concern to the idea of renaming North Maple Grove Road. And the general feel in the community is that they did not want to see that happen based on the history of North Maple Grove Road and the fact that we now have a contiguous stretch of road for the first time in my lifetime as a native Monroe Countyan. We did want to reiterate from the board and from the general public, there's a lot of high regard for John Irvine, so we want to make sure that there is a place and a space for his contributions to be recognized. But we felt that renaming a historic roadway, especially one that has such historic gravity in our community, was not necessarily the way to go about it. So I'll yield the rest of my time so other members of the public can feel free to jump up here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Blankenship. Thank you. Is there another member of the public who would like to speak on this petition? Please come up and sign in, and then you'll have 3 minutes. Hi, Phyllis.
Please hold the mic down.
Oh, you're commenting on my height.
Okay.
I'm a little bit taller than Phyllis, that's more personality.
Oh, thanks a lot. Does that cut into my 3 minutes? No. I am Phyllis Schwitzer, excuse me, and I live on Williams Road, but excuse me, I have land on both sides of Maple Grove, North Maple Grove, where it intersects with Bottom Road. Excuse me, I am hoarse from all the harvest dust. We bought part of that land from Ruby Williams, and for a long time the old bridge was called the Williams Bridge, just colloquially named because she was so fond of it. We used to drive through there just to visit her, my children and I, when she lived at the foot of the hill at Dewlap Road. And I am, excuse me, with Devin, I agree that we should honor John in some meaningful way, but that renaming this historic area is not that way, and we're just really fond of it. In fact, some of my neighbors still call it the Old Road, not even Old Maple Grove. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there other members of the public who'd like to speak? Please come up and sign in and then state your name, and you'll have 3 minutes.
I'll just mention for the record that it appears that we did not advertise this as a waiver of final hearing. So this is the preliminary hearing
Okay,
for this
yes.
request.
Okay.
Hi there, I am Deanna Fleener, and I am a descendant of Ruby Williams, and I've lived on Maple Grove Road for 56 years, almost 57, and we are, I think there's at least eight generations of my family that's lived out there. I am Larry Stanger's oldest daughter, so I am here representing our family. I'm nervous, Rick. But the bridge used to be called Williams Bridge. That was kind of hard for the family when we got the new bridge brought in. I understand the history, but that was the Williams Bridge. So renaming a road out there for someone who had a little bit to do with that, I think it needs to be left as North Maple Grove. It's been that way for many years. And I personally don't agree with naming the bridge after him. That was hard enough for the family that's still there, like I said. And there's more generations behind me. My kids are living out there now, so we take pride in that history. So, thank you.
Well, thank you for coming today and for speaking to us about your family's history in the area. Thank you. Are there other members of the public who'd like to speak?
Hello, I'm Rachel Peden McCarty, and fairly new to Maple Grove in that our family moved there in 1941, but I've only been there for 12 years as an adult. And I have a Maple Grove neighborhood group and posted the letter about the possible name change because those on West Maple Grove we consider our community too, and they did not receive the letter. And that included many of the Stanger family. So I too would like to see this gentleman honored, but I take pride in being able to say that we have a covered bridge on Maple Grove Road. And remember going to that opening and things like that. And if it were up to me, I would like to keep the name Maple Grove Road on that stretch. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I see we have someone, Ms. Deborah Reed has raised her hand. She's in virtual attendance, and if you could unmute her.
Good evening. Debbie Reed, and a member of the Monroe County Historic Board of Review. I always thank everyone for allowing public participation. The Monroe County Monroe County Historic Preservation Board takes our duties very, very seriously. And after much discussion and thought, we feel collectively that there should not be a name change of Maple Grove Road. One, it sets a precedent that we might regret in the future. Most importantly, nationally recognized, it's one of the gems, the Maple Grove area in total. It's one of the gems of Monroe County, and we have a lot. That being said, it's terribly important as a member of the board and the public. John Irvin needs to be honored. John Irvin needs to be recognized. I've known John for a long, long time, and you see the list tonight of all his accomplishments. I could tell you things that aren't on the list, things that he's done for Monroe County. I want to see John honored. I feel, I heard the lady before me, and I respect what she just said about the naming of the bridge. But I will say that the bridge, 80% new material. And so I could see possibly naming the bridge after John, because he did so much to help get that bridge in place. I don't know how many of you have been out there to see it. It's remarkable. We have so much to be grateful for. But anyway, if you'll consider some of the comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Reed. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like? Yes, sir. Please come to the podium and sign in. Thank you for coming tonight.
My name is Jim Allen. My wife and I we're newcomers to the area. We live about halfway between Maple Grove, intersection with Maple Grove and the bridge. We use that bridge routinely when we go to Indianapolis now. We love it, so it's great. We agree with all the comments about John Irvin. Obviously, he needs some recognition by this body or somebody in this county, but we don't believe that changing the name would be useful, especially we have family and friends who come down from Indianapolis, and to tell them to go by a different road and different roadway, especially they'll have a hard time changing the maps. But we think that staying the way it is would be very appropriate for the long-term utilization of the space.
Thank you very much, Mr. Allen. Are there any other members of the public who wish to speak on this? So we do not have a vote tonight on this because this is the preliminary hearing, and we have heard a lot tonight, and this was a proposal that was not put forward by the Plan Commission. And so I just want to make that clear. And so we will be hearing this if it's still pertinent in the future.
The December 11th hearing.
And perhaps at the December 11th hearing. So, Mr. Enright Randolph?
Well, that's only if we want to hear it again, if we.
Exactly.
If we.
Thank you.
No, what I'm getting at is I'm curious if there's a position, if people are not favoring this, we can just deny the request.
Thank you, Mr. Enright Randolph.
I just wanted to bring that up because it sounds like we're just moving it forward, but.
I understand, Mr. Enright Randolph. Thank you. So we will, we are not going to be voting on this tonight. So thank you.
But sure, I'm absolutely comfortable. I do have the right to make a motion.
Okay, then make a motion, Mr. Enright Randolph. Thank you.
I just feel like it's being overlooked. I just wanted to clarify that.
If you have a motion, please make it. Mr. Garitas.
If there's an appetite for this to move forward. I think that's what Tron was asking.
Well, if he would like to make a motion, or if you would like to make a
I
motion.
was trying to have a discussion with the Plan Commission to see if they wanted to continue this discussion for another month, or if people are already in a position. I've stated it's really hard for me to choose. Hearing the public, hearing some of our colleagues, I feel like I have figured out where I stand on this, but I'm going to just leave it alone and let it move forward.
That's exactly where we were. So does anybody have a motion to make?
Can we just make a motion to remove it from next month's agenda and it dies? Is that the idea? I don't understand the procedure here, so I'm asking.
You're welcome to, out of respect, I would say that the person who made the proposal from the beginning should be notified, and they may have an opportunity to withdraw the proposal or to change the proposal. But this is a preliminary hearing and we're not taking an action tonight.
Okay, all right. I just didn't know if there was, why that was brought up. So it'll be up to the county commissioners then, right, to decide if they want to come forward with this? So they could withdraw, the county commissioners could withdraw their petition.
That is correct.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so there is no action on this item tonight. And the next item on the agenda is number 2, SAD-23-21, Joanne Scroggins, Type E, Administrative Subdivision Right-of-Way Waiver Request with a waiver of final hearing requested concerning 2 parcels totaling 106.61 plus or minus acres in Bloomington Township, Section 14 at 3905 and 3898 East Bethel Lane. And Mr. Smith, if you'd be so kind as to review this with us, I'd be grateful.
Thank you. So the request specifically is a right-of-width waiver seeking a reduction from 45 feet to 25 feet along the western portion of what is proposed Tract 1, at which will become part of 3905 East Bethel Lane. The purpose is to preserve an existing barn structure that would otherwise need to be removed in order to accommodate the required dedicated right-of-way for subdivisions. So a discussion, Paul Satterley, the Highway Department engineer, stated that the Highway Department would support a partial waiver so long as at least 25 feet of dedicated right-of-way was dedicated to that western portion of the lot at 3905 East Bethel Lane. So as you can see on your screen here, I have highlighted the section that is to be dedicated right-of-way 25 feet. In that red rectangular structure there is the barn. And then we've got a driveway here that's existing. So what Paul is saying is the Highway Department would support the 25 feet up to the eastern edge of that driveway and then bump it back out to the required 45 feet with the understanding that if they ever needed to in the future to acquire that 45 feet, it would be easier to do so rather than to just have a blanket 25 feet all across the board. And then the Indiana Historic Sites and Structures Inventory 2014 report indicated that the barn is contributing, and this is from the Indiana State Historic Architectural and Archaeological Research Database, also known as SHARD, which defines contributing as the property met the basic inventory criteria of being pre-1970, but that it is not important enough to stand on its own as individually outstanding or notable. Such resources are important to the destiny or continuity of an area's historic fabric. Contributing properties may appear in the National Register if they are part of a historic district, but do not usually qualify individually. And Cheryl, correct me if I'm wrong, you had stated that this is a traditional Appalachian barn style architecture. Is that correct?
That's based on my inexpert.
Gotcha.
I know barns, but I'm not an architectural historian.
These are just some site photos from Google, just showing the location of the roadway as it relates to the barn. And then this is just a map, a zoning map and a location map, if that was helpful for the Plan Commission to come to a decision. Primarily, this entire area is residential development. So based on that, staff recommends approval of a partial right-of-way width waiver based on the findings of fact and the reports from the Highway Department, and subject to the following conditions: that the petitioner update the plat to show the 25-foot right-of-way dedication, the petitioner provide findings of fact, and also to change the subdivision name to a unique name per Chapter 856, but just as of this date, conditions 1 and 2 have been completed.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Smith. Do members of the Plan Commission have questions for staff? I can't see online if Dee or Ed have questions. Okay, so we open it up to the public, and if any member of the public would like to speak on this issue, please come to the podium and speak on it. I don't know if Lisa Ridge would like to speak on it. I can't see if she's still on or would like.
I believe that Paul's comment reflects their opinion on this.
Yes, that's right. Okay, so no one would like to speak on this issue, and so we move it back to Mr. Ullman has his hand raised now.
Apologies. Is there any information on what the 25-foot right-of-way looks like in reference to the barn? How close that right-of-way gets to the barn's front?
Yeah, so actually, Eric Deckard actually has it right here. So this line right here represents the 25-foot, and then it bumps back out to the 45-foot. I don't have an image like I do like here. I don't have an image of what that would look like, but maybe Eric Deckard can shed some light on that if he'd like to speak.
Mr. Deckard? Thank you. Thanks for coming tonight.
My name's Eric Deckard. I'm here representing the petitioner. Answer your question, there's approximately 6 feet between the dedicated right-of-way, the new proposed dedicated right-of-way versus the front of the barn at this point in time. So part of the barn will still lie within the front yard setback, but we'll just have to say it's a pre-existing non-conforming situation there.
And since you're at the microphone and you are representing the petitioner, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I've got nothing more to add, but if you have any questions,
Thank
be
you.
glad to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Deckard. I'd like to open it up to the public then. Anybody who would like to speak in favor or in opposition to this petition, please come to the podium or raise your virtual hand or press *9 on your telephone to be recognized. And we don't see anyone, so we move back to the Plan Commission for further discussion and/or a motion. Mr. Garitas?
Brief question, then I can make a motion, but Eric, are you saying that you think the barn, does he need to come up? I hate to have him come back up again.
Yes.
Sorry about that. So you think the face of the barn is roughly 31 feet? So you've got 6 feet between the face of the barn and where the 25-foot dedicated right-of-way is going to be?
That is correct.
Okay, because Edward's question was right on. It looked so close, it looked like even the 25 feet may have encroached in the barn. So perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deckard. So any further questions from the members of the commission? If not, Mr. Garitas, you indicated you might make a motion.
In the matter of SAD-23-21, this is the Jones-Scroggins Type E Administrative Subdivision right-of-way width waiver. I move approval for the partial right-of-way width waiver with the following conditions as presented by staff in the report, if I can find them. Yep, I have them close. 1, the petitioner updates the plat to reflect the partial 25-foot right-of-way dedication. And 2, the petitioner provides findings of fact And 3, change the subdivision names to be unique for chapter 856 of the subdivision code.
And let the record reflect that as of this date of this meeting, conditions 1 and 2 have already been completed.
Beautiful, thank
So
you.
only 3 remains open. So is there?
Subject to findings of fact.
Yes, yes.
Presented in the staff report and for the reports provided by the Monroe County Staff Highway and Planning.
Yes, and so is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Does that include the waiver of the final hearing?
That includes the waiver of the final hearing.
Okay. All right,
Thank you.
so this is a vote on SAD-23-21, the Joanne Scroggins Type E Administrative Subdivision right-of-way with waiver request, with a waiver of final hearing, and with one condition that they change the subdivision name to be unique per chapter 856, subject to highway reports. A vote in favor is a vote to approve the right-of-way with waiver and the waiver of final hearing. D. Owens,
Yes.
Jerry Pittsford,
Yes.
Margaret Clemens,
Yes?
Tron Enright Randolph,
Yes.
Bernie Garitas,
Yes.
Jeff Morris,
Yes.
Cheryl Munson,
Yes.
Edward Ullman.
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries 8-0.
Okay, well, I'd like to ask if there are any reports from Jackie or from the county attorney, county legal?
I do not have anything.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, I second that. If anybody objects, speak now.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Happy
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.